insight of that review of the game so far. Robbie, can you hear me loud and clear? Please go ahead with this.
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, talk to me about
Well, okay. For the World Cup so far, it has been an interesting tournament. Like I said in my introduction,
Yes.
5 games have been played so far. 2 were played yesterday. 3 were played today. Let me start with New Zealand. That was the first country who took to the field yesterday for the first game. A tragic event happened in that country, and that was the fact that a lone gunman shot and killed 2 people and injured several others. But that still did not stop the fact that football is not one sport that more or less goes into hiding because of any incident. Yes, the players took to the field and they paid their respects to the victims of that event. And fast forward into the game properly, New Zealand played against Norway. The football fans, as they are called, they won that game by a goal to nil. And I tell you, during the course of halftime, I tweeted saying that I just had that feeling that New Zealand were going to win because they were proactive on both sides. And fortunately, Wilkinson was the lady, more or less a folk hero when it comes to New Zealand football, because she is one player that scored in 3 World Cups for New Zealand. And that victory yesterday was their first victory in 32 years for New Zealand. And to add to that record, New Zealand got the highest number of spectators to come out and watch their match for both the men's and women's football game in that country. Over 40,000 people came out to watch the game against Norway. So it tells you what football is like for that country. And of course, talking about Australia, Sam Kerr was the big news that missed that game because she got injured in training. But it still did not stop the Australians as well, because into that game and by a lone goal, cut off a penalty. And another record was broken yesterday because for the first time in Australian football history, they had about 74,000 spectators came to the field to cheer the Matildas, as they have called, to victory. So it tells you that this World Cup is an historic one. And the very funny thing is, both games actually saw penalty kicks. New Zealand lost their penalty of Percival, and also Australia converted their own penalty yesterday. Well, the penalty rush continued into today because the first game of today was Nigeria against Canada. And just like Margaret rightly said, I'm trying to remember Francisca Odega tripped Christine Sinclair in the 18. And after the VAR review, the referee had no choice but to point to the spot. Even before she did that, I was already screaming in my parlor that is a stonewall penalty. So,
yes.
So, and of course, Chiamaka was the hero of the day. She stood tall and she more or less stopped that penalty kick. If you ask me, I think it was a badly taken penalty kick because the ball was too close to the goalkeeper. Maybe if she had aimed with more power, or if she had gone for a little bit of a height on the ball, she probably would have scored that goal. So, with that event alone, I think that was more or less what carried Nigeria over the line, and Nigeria will get a point. And looking at that game precisely, Rasheedat Ajibade did not play because of suspension that she picked up from the last WAFCON that was played in Morocco. So hence the reason why she did not make that match squad. Then also, Azat Oshoala, one player that everybody have been buzzing about in the country, was nowhere to be found. Nowhere whatsoever to be found. And the only thing that worked for the Super Falcons was the goalkeeper and the defense. And one player that stood tall is I'm trying to remember her name. That should be Deborah Abiodun. Deborah Abiodun is one player that our future is bright to the national team. Unfortunately, she picked up a straight red card. Yes, unfortunately, she picked up a red card in that game. But overall, if I'm going to give Nigeria more, if I'm going to rate them over 10, I think I'm going to give them 5 over 10 because they were reactive all through the game. And of course, Canada were not just spectacular today, but let us see what's going to happen in the next game. For Switzerland against Philippines, that is one game that, well, it really didn't carry much of a buzz because on paper, yes, not many people know much about Switzerland, Swiss football, but they were also able to squeeze through the debutants, talking about Philippines, by 2-0. And of course, it was more or less like a straight victory for the European side. And of course, the last game that was played was Spain against Costa Rica. On paper, we all know what Spain brings to the table. Spain also plays, they play more or less an identical football like their male national team. And of course, both of them actually bear the same nickname, La Roa, as they are called. So Well, they ran into a 3-0 lead. That was between the 21st minute and the 27th minute in that game. Also, a penalty was given and it was not converted. So the 5 games played so far in this World Cup have seen 5 penalties given after a VAR check. 2 has been converted. The goalkeeper have saved 2, while the other one more or less was played outside the stadium. So that is more or less a roundup of what is happening at the World Cup. For tomorrow, we're going to see 4 games. And the game starts as early as about 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Nigerian time. US will be going up against Vietnam. And at least for those who are a little bit acquainted with politics, let us not forget the Vietnam War back in the 1970s, 1960s, 1970s between US and Vietnam. So this is also more or less another, let's call it sporting battle that is set to go down between these 2 countries. And we all know what US brings to the table. They are the defending champions and they want to start their campaign on a high. So that's more or less what the World Cup is about right now. It has been an interesting World Cup, and overall 5 games played, there have been 4 victories and a lone draw. So the draw is coming from the stables of Nigeria against Canada, but overall it has been a wonderful game so far.
All right.